This is my planning process. This is where I like to just do one big open kind of a dump like this, and then the weeks leading up to school starting, which is the middle of August for me, I will actually do a sit down, like calendar out this whole unit and figure out how it's going to go. But this is just me putting it down on paper and figuring out what everything's going to be like. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kathleen's Classroom. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, so I'm actually on two cameras right now. I am doing a first video of what I think will be a long series. I'm hoping to make this actually a weekly series of plan with me videos, where I can kind of like a week ahead of time be lesson planning and kind of taking you through the different units that I'm teaching and how I'm going to space them out and how I'm going to bring them to each of my classes next year, because I think that's something that as a new teacher would have been really helpful for me. And so hopefully that is something that can help some of you who are new, who are maybe teaching new material, or who are just kind of like hitting a roadblock, because you know how that happens sometimes. Next year I'm going to be teaching all 10th grade English in the fall. So that 10th grade English for my school district is actually pretty open because of Common Core standards. We don't have like prescribed texts that we have to teach. We have texts that we normally or traditionally teach, but I'm not feeling too tied to them because I've taught them in the past, and I know that a lot of the writing standards and the reading standards and the critical thinking skills can be taught, yes, through those texts, but also through different things. So what I'm going to start with today is one of my first units. I am going, it would help if I actually had my lesson planning book. Hold on, let me go get it. And because some of you have asked in the comments, normally this is coffee and sometimes it's not. Like right now, it's like 8:30 at night. So this is totally Chardonnay. In case you haven't seen what I am using this next year as a lesson planning book, it's a dot journal that I got from Michael's for only like $5, which is kind of amazing. And I'm trying my hand at kind of like a pseudo bullet journal kind of a thing this year. So I'll let you know how that goes. And I have a video already on my channel in case you haven't seen how I set that up. Because this year I'm looking at some big overarching themes and just like big concepts to teach. And one of those concepts is a growth mindset and is just an overall perseverance. I think that's something that's lacking in adults, but it's also lacking in kids. Having taught in elementary schools the last 2 years, I just see where kids really need not a push, but they need to be trained in how to persevere. Things are so immediately gratifying. There's not a whole lot of need for perseverance, except that there so is. They don't immediately see the value in waiting and in trying, and because they can just buy a new thing or whatever it is, like something else will come along to give them a dopamine hit pretty quickly. So why should they wait, or why should they keep trying? And so that's something that is a skill that I'm looking to develop in my 10th graders this coming year. I'm just going to go through with you what I've already kind of figured out. And then I have this really cool thing that I bought on Teachers Pay Teachers that I think is going to be amazing and awesome. And I'm super excited about it. My anticipatory set, my introductory activities, what I want to do is read this book that I have called The Most Magnificent Thing, and it's a picture book, but it's all about this little girl who has she's like a box of stuff, and she's making a thing, and she hits some roadblocks, and the thing falls apart, and it doesn't look the way she wants it to look, and it's just that thing that like we all hit when we're trying to be creative, and she hits these huge roadblocks, and she perseveres, and she ends up making this like amazing thing instead. And so it really teaches a great message about finding the joy and the treasure in like something that looks like it's totally ruined. And then from there, we're going to talk about a fixed versus a growth mindset. I have a quiz that I found. Okay, so don't mind it too much because it got all the things I'm going to show you have water damage on them because my daughter accidentally spilled my entire cup of water on the whole desk yesterday. So that was unfortunate. But this mindset quiz, I don't think I'm going to give it to them in this exact format. I think I'm going to give it to them probably verbally, have them write down their answer for each question and just like number it down, kind of like a Cosmo quiz or like a 17 magazine quiz. Then I'll say, okay, if you said, A, strongly agree for number 1, give yourself 0 points, blah, 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 and I'll tell them the score. And then from there, we'll go through this little score chart that's down at the bottom. And then once they kind of know their score and just where they lie right here, right now, I doubt we'll have many way down here unless kids are just kind of feeling a little bit like a turd that day, but we'll see, I guess. I have a Google Slide presentation that I'm putting together for this whole entire thing that will be up on Teachers Pay Teachers. Then I want to talk about the science behind a growth mindset. And I have a YouTube video that I found by Fullerton College that I will link actually down below in the description of this video. It's only 4 minutes, 4:05. And it talks about how the human brain needs to grow in order to thrive. And the way for the human brain to grow and develop more cells and more tissue and like keep multiplying is by learning new things. Humans are hardwired to have a growth mindset. We need to be able to learn new things in order for our brain to grow and survive. Then that is going to lead me into I don't know if you've ever heard of the Moth podcast, but it is amazing. It is storytelling, and the podcast itself normally has like 3 or 4 segments of stories, and it's real people telling their real stories. And it's kind of like This I Believe, which you can find through NPR, but it's not like a proclamation. It's just telling a story. And there are some cool things that you can get out of a lot of these stories. And a lot of these stories are told by teenagers or told about by young adults about when they were a teenager. But there's this one called The Theory of Change. It's 12 minutes long. We are going to listen to it as a whole group. And on Teachers Pay Teachers with Building Book Love, she made this really great just like doodle notes sheet for podcasts. And so I bought them and I think they're fantastic. Have 3 main discussion questions. So I'll have the kids like write their discussion questions in those 3 little banners that go across the note sheet, and then they'll take notes as we go. And this way I can probably be taking notes on like the DocuCam while kids are listening over the loudspeaker to the podcast or to the story being told. And they can see me taking notes and they can take the notes I'm taking and just kind of like almost see my think aloud, because I think taking notes from something auditory especially can be really difficult. So there's a way for me to do that. And then we will debrief with the discussion questions, just quick around robin of what we're going to do. There's another story called Pool Party that's only 6 minutes and 14 seconds that I really liked as well. So if we need to do more together, we'll do more together. Otherwise, we'll get into some independent practice. Here, you can go through the teacher resources, stories for the classroom, like through the Moth website, and get, they're shorter stories and they are meant for a high school class. And so what I want kids to do is build their own playlist of like 3 to 4 stories. I want them to be listening for 20 to 25 minutes total and taking notes on each of those stories. So I think that's just going to mean a lot of copies of the Doodle notes sheets. And I'm perfectly fine with that because I think it's good note-taking practice. And then, okay, mind you, the timing for this, I haven't quite figured out completely yet. I just want to read you, like go through this unit that I've designed. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. And then when it's actually like time for the first couple of weeks of school, I'll do another video where I do like a, let me find it. I do like a layout like this. And I'll show you, I'll like break it up into the different, because I only teach 3 periods of the day because we're on a 4x4. I'll chunk this out and I'll actually go through it because I think that's something that's really good. But right now I just want to show you how I'm planning this unit. This day, I'm going to have to make sure that kids bring headphones if they don't normally bring headphones. But I will have a handful who don't have any headphones with them. So I'll make sure that I have some provided. And anybody that doesn't have a phone or like they can't access the internet or whatever, I will also check out a Chrome cart this day so that I can make sure kids have access to computers. I find it really important that they will do this on their own, that they'll go through and they'll look at the list of stories that's on here and they'll kind of look at the little blurbs, the descriptions under them. I want them to pick their own so that they have some ownership in it and they're not just like listening and not paying attention, but it's actually something that they've chosen to listen to. So quick little whole group share out about what they found. This is all leading us to the big part here, which is goal setting. So I'm kind of like tying together this whole thing. This growth mindset, the activities we're doing here lead into a bigger overall, I guess it's thematic. Students are developing their own voice as writers, as people, as critical thinkers, that they are coming to terms with what they like and discovering what they like and discovering what they think, because this is such a big part of their lives where they're really like, That's why there's teenage rebellion. They're figuring stuff out for themselves. So I try to help them do that in a safe way. So we're getting into goal setting. You guys, I found the coolest stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers for this year, and I'm so excited. So Building Book Love, her amazing Doodle notes, and she's got so much cool stuff on there. So bear with me a little bit. This product on Teachers Pay Teachers is worth every penny. There's a whole entire unit on growth mindset. There's like all this cool stuff. There's a whole year's worth of bell ringers for like starting class and prompts and that sort of thing. I just went for a small one because I knew I wanted it to be part of this like mini unit, the growth journal. It's cool because this page, the cover that you can print out, is like a coloring page. So as kids are like listening to things or taking notes or whatever, they can color. That's the other thing I like about the Doodle notes from Building Book Love is that I'm just going to give kids colored pencils and markers and let them just doodle and color and kind of like listen and process to these things as they're taking notes so that they can see that Cornell Notes doesn't have to be the way that they do everything. This is a whole journal, and I haven't really assembled mine completely incorrectly. Like I didn't even do the double-sided printing because I was just doing this on my inkjet. But this journal is so cool because it's all about teaching kids how to set a SMART goal, one that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And then to be detailed in their reflection and their tracking, they're always like planning and like action steps, and I'll show you a couple of the pages in a second. That's really like what this whole journal is all about. So it's something that we will be doing pretty much every single day for like the first month and a half of school. And it's going to lead into something even bigger, which I'll touch on in just a moment. It's so cool. Sorry about the water damage. It's all about like a whole plan of action, teaching different parts of like goal setting and creating that plan of action and like what it looks like to actually set a goal that's real and that's not just like lofty. And then you start getting into weekly tracking, and there's a whole like gratitude and reflection that we can go through every Friday. There's a whole daily actions to set up and something that they're going to actually do towards attaining this goal and like checking it off as they go every day. It's a super cool journal. So if this is something you're interested in, I'm not in any way like this isn't sponsored. I just really love this product. So it's by the Superhero Teacher. There's that. This will be leading into another big project, which I'm going to do that's going to be course long, which is a Genius Hour passion project. That'll be a whole nother Playing With Me video. But basically, in order to get to these SMART goals and get to the journal that I was just talking about, we need to find a passion. They need to find something they are interested in. So that leads me to one of the few really good PD, last year I saw some really bad consultants and this guy was actually good. He came in and he talked about RIASEC, and RIASEC is a tool that actually a lot of our unemployment agencies use to help people find what they're passionate about. So that's what I'm going to do in order to help them find a goal so that their goals aren't just get an A in this class, because that's not something you could do in a month. This will also lead us to passion projects because they're finding things that they're interested in. They will take a RIASEC quiz. There's a lot to it. There are 42 questions. They bubble in wherever their answer is, and then they will actually like score up these different letters. So how many times they got an R, an I, an A, an S, an E, and a C. So they bubble it in if they agree with it. And then it lies in a different, basically like not quite personality type, but like interest code. And so it's like those personality tests that you can take, and you get like, I'm a QVR7 or whatever. And you sound like a cyborg, but so it's realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And people are normally a mixture of 2 or 3. And so it gives you a code, and then they get to take a look at what each of those means. There are a bunch of videos on YouTube about RIASEC and about the different like interest areas. So we're gonna watch one of those so that they can kind of see that. We'll talk about it a little bit. I have more to do here. And then there comes a brainstorming session so that they can kind of brainstorm some of the different areas of their 3 that they found in their code. Then comes the research piece. So what I'm thinking, oh gosh, the blank space is so overwhelming. What I'm thinking I want to do is give them almost like a career research and report kind of a thing that they need to do. So like, okay, so if they have 3 letters and they look at like at the very bare minimum, they have 3 careers that they're looking at, right? Let's pretend they are realistic, they are artistic, and they are conventional. So then they're gonna have career 1, career 2, career 3. I think what I'll have them do is, oh, I know. They are going to look at like hobbies, a list of them, of activities, etc. Those sorts of things that they can do having to do with whatever that career is. And they'll do that for all 3 careers. So they'll come up with a list of hobbies and activities and sorts of things that they can, or maybe skills that they could learn that would contribute to whatever that career area is. And then from there, that they're going to come up with 3 possible SMART goals. So I think this part, okay, let me go backwards. I will show you. Obviously, all of this is going to be in class, an introductory activity kind of thing. This is probably going to be like a day, maybe a day and a half, because we have 90-minute periods, but like this will get stale. So I'll probably split this up into a couple of days. Then we'll get into the podcast. These will probably take a couple of days. So now I'm at 4 days, right? So there's almost a week. Maybe 3 days for all of this. And then the goal setting will start, this will be a full week, actually. I think this whole little mini unit, this whole goal setting, and then over like a weekend or leading up to Friday maybe, will be this part. This will be homework. This will be in class. So obviously the last thing that we've done is we took the quiz, we watched a video. Then they're going to be going home, because this part right here is the homework on the next page. They're going to go home. They're going to figure out 3 careers that interest them, 1 from each of their letters. They shouldn't really do more, so forget that optional piece. I guess I could erase, but I'm not going to. I think that that's too much. I think 3 is just fine. They're going to make a list of at least 3 to 5 hobbies, activities, skills associated with each career. List for each. And then when they come in the next day in class, the thing that we'll do when we sit down, I'll have like up on the board as a bell ringer. We'll be figuring out 3 SMART goals and then like narrowing it down to 1 SMART goal. And then we'll just go through the whole process of the growth journal. And that will be, that in and of itself is a whole month. So this whole entire thing is probably going to take about 5 weeks. And I'm all about it, because then it's going to feed into passion projects. And this will actually start to be part of our Genius Hour, is them working on their goal will be a Genius Hour every single week, because it is something that they have chosen. It's something that they have grown themselves, and that I didn't have to be like, it has to be academic, it has to be blah, blah, blah. I think this will organically get them to something that they are passionate about, interested in. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Maybe I've had too much wine. Passionate about, interested in, and oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited. If you guys have made it through this whole entire video and you have ideas or you have responses, will you please comment below? Or if you have questions, will you comment below? Because you might ask a question that I need to ask and I need to answer myself. I can't do it and calendar all at the same time because it's too hard for me. I have to be able to let the creativity flow, and then once I feel good about what I have, which is why I didn't make you sit through this whole entire thing with me, I just looked at like the last piece. I really want it to be good. I want it to be polished. I've been teaching for over a decade, so like I know my process. Yeah, but those of you who are new at this, hopefully just gave you a little insight. I like to do think alouds for my kids, for my students, and for my own children. So I feel like a think aloud might help you too. Please like this video. Like I said, comment below with questions, concerns, If you have suggestions, if you've not already subscribed to the Caffeinated Classroom, please do so. I am trying to make as much new content as I can over the summer so that I can put it out there into the world and be as helpful as I can to my fellow teachers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.